Am I the a-hole for taking my friend to court after she kicked me out of the bridal party for cutting my hair? For my friend's 3-day wedding, I had to buy 3 different dresses, including alterations and specific shoes, which totaled over $700. She also wanted specific hairstyles for each day. Unfortunately, starting in March, my hair started to deteriorate. Due to health reasons, my hair was falling out in chunks, and in May, I made a difficult decision to cut my hair. I told the bride about my decision 2 weeks before the wedding, and she didn't say anything bad. The following week, she came over to my house, and when she was about to leave, she brought up that she was so concerned about my haircut. And I told her it would look good even though I wouldn't be uniform with the other bridesmaids. Then the following day, I received this message. After our recent conversations, I'd like to remind you of my boundaries. I've been very accommodating and graceful, but I can't allow you to disrespect me. As you know, my wedding has been something I've dreamt of for many years. Husband and I have invested a lot of money into the video and photos of this day, and as we reflect on this day in the future, we want to see our vision reflected in the memories. Since I asked each of you to be bridesmaid in 2019, I've been very clear and very communicative in my request. The timing of your decision to cut your hair and not inform me in advance is very upsetting to me. I would have felt respected if you had communicated with me more than a week prior to the wedding, so we could have worked together to find a collaborative solution. Your inconsistencies have concerned me, and while I sympathize with your health concerns, I'm not willing to compromise my vision to accommodate you or anyone else. If you have informed me in advance, we could have found a better solution. Since this is something you can no longer fully commit to, I need you to please step down from participating in my wedding. This was 3 days before the wedding. I immediately sent her and her husband an invoice asking them to reimburse for the dresses and shoes. Keep in mind that one of the dresses is still in her possession even though I paid for it. Neither of them replied, and so I decided to take it to the court. I was told I was inconsistent and selfish after I spent the past 2 weeks helping her plan a wedding shower. I worked with another bridesmaid to surprise her with a bridal shower after our bachelor trip had to be cancelled. I spent hours helping her out with the wedding details. When she asked me to help her tone up before the wedding, I sent her a personalized workout program and even went with her to the gym to show her the ropes. When I agreed to be her bridesmaid, I was more than willing to oblige with what she asked, even if at times it was a lot of time and money. So, am I the a-hole for taking her to court because she kicked me out for cutting my hair? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Should have had a lawsuit served to her at the altar. Do you take your bridezilla to be your lawfully served wife? Not the a-hole. I mean, not the a-hole. She's a massive A and should pay you the money. But she won't because she's a massive entitled A. But I'm guessing you don't have any sort of written contract? Depending on verbal contract laws where you are, I suppose you can argue that expenses were incurred on the agreement that you were at the bridal party. On the other hand, if she's been as much of a control freak bridezilla as you say, she might be able to show evidence that a reasonable person would know that in this wedding, changing physical appearance would be seen as a breach of expectations by making themselves unsuitable for the bridal party. It's going to be a hell of a thing to argue successfully in court. There's no contract or verbal contract. I had obliged to every single thing she wanted. Dresses, shoes, makeup, jewelry. The last day of the wedding was a Monday, so I even took off work. The only thing was my hair. I physically could no longer do any of the hairstyles, and wigs are just too expensive. And because of how much I had already spent, I couldn't afford one. I would seek some form of legal advice. You'd have had what a lot of places would have considered a verbal contract, that you agreed to be a bridesmaid and participate in the wedding with the understanding you'd have to buy X things in order to do it. But there won't be anything about reimbursement, I imagine. As for the evidence, at a guess, you might have more than you think if you have emails/messages being all, to be a bridesmaid you need to buy X and X and X, etc. On the other hand, if she detailed hairstyles you now can't achieve, offered a wig solution or specified not to cut/dye hair, it might be seen as in breach. Like I said, get legal advice. Luckily, I had friends who are in the legal system, and they've helped me out and helped me prepare my case. I don't have a court date yet, and probably won't for a while because of COVID, but I'm prepared for it all, and have all my evidence gathered from emails, text, invoices, witnesses, etc. Not an a-hole, not one bit. I can't allow you to disrespect me, and then she turns around and utterly disrespects you and your friendship. What a horrible, heartless friend she is. You've done your absolute best to be involved with her wedding/bridal shower and helping her so much in addition to paying hundreds for your dresses, etc. And she kicks you out because of your hair? For which you have an extremely valid reason for cutting. And even if you didn't, it'd still be absolutely ridiculous for her to do and say all this. I'm baffled. I can only imagine how you're feeling. All the best to you. Next story. Am I the a-hole for enforcing a country club's dress code and not changing my venue? I'm getting married in February at a country club my fiancé's parents belong to. The club has a strict dress code in their dining area, even for events. Jacket, ties, and slacks/khakis for men. Dresses or slacks/khakis and a blouse for women. Kids are dresses, slacks and nice shirts. No logos. I put this on to save the date in case it would be an issue. Keep in mind, it's not a rule I created. Now, my younger sister is in college, and her standard outfit is basketball shorts and a t-shirt. I told her she didn't have to wear a dress, but slacks or khakis and a nice top. She told me no. I said it was strictly enforced, but she said she didn't care. I told her that it would mean a great deal to me and I could help her find something comfy. She still refused. So I asked why this was so important, and she said she thinks dress codes are stupid and she's not conforming. In the end, after constant back and forth, she said she's not coming. I said that really upset me as we were very close and I wanted her there. My mom says I should just change the venue, but I told her we can't with how close the wedding is. My in-laws paid for it and they'd lose their deposit. She told me that I should ask for an exception to be made, but the club said no. My mom says I'm forgetting my roots to impress my fancy in-laws. Am I the a-hole? Change the entire venue. For one person? Your sister isn't a nonconformist. She wants others to conform to her. Not the a-hole. You were very open with her and gave her plenty of options. Also, khakis and a nice shirt isn't that strict of a dress code. My parents and other siblings also hate the dress code, but were willing to go along. Now that sister is refusing, they feel less alone. Do they hate the dress code or are they envious that you're marrying a wealthier family? I don't know if that's that. They're all just very laid back. No cares for the future or what comes. They don't care if people hate them. When they met my future in-laws, we went to this nice place with no dress code, but it's implied you dress up. My family showed up in jeans, shorts. My dad wore a t-shirt advertising a beer company. Not the a-hole. Forget any written code. Basketball shorts and a t-shirt are not appropriate to wear for a wedding guest. They aren't appropriate for most jobs at all. Not sure what her future is going to be if she must wear basketball shorts all the time. Even in entry-level fast food, retail, or construction jobs all require pants. Not the a-hole. Your sister needs to learn that certain events require certain rules to be followed. She's an adult, isn't she? She's 22. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to take off my engagement ring for my sister? I, female 26, recently lost my fiancé, male 28, in a car accident. My sister's, female 23, boyfriend, male 25, who happened to be my fiancé's brother, was also lost in that accident. It was very sudden and overwhelming for both me and my sister, and we are still both struggling after weeks of grieving. I'm still having trouble processing that I will never be able to marry him, and I have been wearing the engagement ring every day since he passed. It has been a very difficult few weeks for my sister and I, and we have been trying to cope together since. But yesterday, we had a fight about my ring. She asked me if I was ever going to take the ring off, and told me that I was being selfish for wearing that ring. She insisted that she was never able to get engaged or get married to her boyfriend, and that my fiancé was dead, so I wouldn't be getting married to him anytime soon, so I shouldn't wear it. I don't know if it was the grief talking, but either way, I got angry real fast and flipped out on her. Yes, wearing the ring won't bring him back, but it was the last thing he gave me before he died. I'm not sorry for wanting to treasure that ring, even if there will never be a wedding ring to accompany it. I argued this, but it only made her angrier and our argument escalated. She left my apartment after that in a rage. We are both suffering from our grief, and I have no right to claim I have it worse. But I believe I was justified in yelling at her for what she said, and that she shouldn't have been so hurtful to me like that. My family, however, doesn't agree, and I have received several texts telling me that I was out of line for what I said. Am I the a-hole Reddit? Keep your ring. Wear it with pride and be proud of the love it will forever hold. You and your sister have suffered a terrible, terrible loss. And while she's grieving, I don't think she means to be so cruel. At least I hope not. Maybe she just was never given something sentimental from her boyfriend, so she's just upset she has nothing to hold or wear daily like you do. May I suggest a locket for both of you? Maybe matching sets each with pictures of your late loves inside? Again, I am so sorry for your loss. Grieve how you wish. You will grieve differently. But you do not have to change how you give for someone else's comfort. Not the a-hole. 100% this. Hope she, like you, is in the middle of the grieving process. I don't think she meant to be cruel. And I don't believe you did either. You are reacting to her. You both need time, understanding, and maybe therapy. Cherish your ring and the love it holds. No a-holes here. Not the a-hole. You grieve how you need to. You got something she didn't, but you both missed out on so much. Let her know you are sorry she feels that way, but you need to grieve how you need to grieve. And for both, I would seek out professional grief counseling. Their relationship reminds me of my aunts and uncles' relationships. Two sisters married to brothers. They both were beautiful couples that stayed together for decades until death came. To think that beauty was cut so short and suddenly so tragic. I hope they find peace and new love in their lives. I am so sorry for your losses. Grief affects everyone differently, and although it was out of line for her to ask you to stop wearing the ring, it sounds like it is the grief talking, assuming that this is not normal behavior for her. It was within your right to push back, and understandable that you would want to wear something so dear to you and your fiancé's memory. No a-holes here. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for spending a large amount of money in a trip with my dad instead of paying the debt on my boyfriend's house? I, 29 female, recently got in a fight with my boyfriend, 30 male, and his family because I refused to spend my savings in house payment that could result in him getting kicked out of the house. So context. I've dealt with mental health problems all my life, but when I turned 20, I was at my worst. Due to that, I couldn't maintain a stable job while studying in college. My parents have always been supportive of me. They let me live with them, and my dad paid for my psychologist, medicine, all my college education, and maintained me until I was 24, while also taking care of my mom and my 3 younger siblings. He's a super hard-working man, and I think he enjoys and loves to give me and my siblings the best he can. Top-tier parenting, and I love him to death. Fast forward to this year. I have a stable job that pays really well, and I've been saving money for the past 5 years because I wanted to do something for my dad as a thank you for all the sacrifices he has done for me. His dream has always been to go to Disney World. We are not from the USA, and stay in one of those fancy hotels, but he was never able to do it. And now that he is retired, he thought he would never be able to. So I have been saving money in secret to make it happen, and the only one that knew about my savings was my mom, and she loved the idea. I've been with my boyfriend for 1.5 years now. He has a good job, but he is not the best at taking care of his finances. He bought his house before we meet, and he is still paying for it. But due to his poor management of money, he starts accumulating debt due to house payments. But a few weeks ago, he told me that there is a chance of him losing his house if he doesn't pay the debt. Last week, I finally reached my goal and had enough money to take my dad to his dream trip. Just the 2 of us. I told my boyfriend that I was really excited, but he was livid. It asked me how could I be so selfish and go on a stupid vacation trip when he is about to get kicked out of his house. He also told me that if we were in for the long run, I should help him to get out of his debt because that could eventually be my house too. We don't live together. I live in a small apartment. He also told me that his trust was betrayed because I've been hiding the savings from him and that a good partner does not do that. I told him that it was not my responsibility to pay for his debt, but he kept yelling at me. So I left. He told his mom and sister about it, and now both of them have been harassing me, going to my apartment and to my work telling me how horrible I am for not helping him and trying to convince me to pay his debt. I get that my boyfriend is going through a hard time, but this is something I've been working really hard to achieve, and since my dad is starting to have difficulties walking, with his eyesight and his health in general is getting worse, I don't want to wait any longer to take him on this trip. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. But you are breaking up with him, right? You can't continue to be with someone that's so controlling and abusive. He sends his family to your house to harass you into giving him your hard-earned money when he can't even manage his own finances. Could you just imagine what he would be like if you lived with him? If the example you have of a good and decent man is your father, why would you choose to be with the opposite of that? Don't accept less than what you have been raised to expect. If you will, for example, one guy ended his girlfriend and her kids because she wouldn't give him half her $600 stimulus check. So not today, Hall, and get out of there. I feel like this is something that he and the family will always hold over your head if they can stay that level-headed. Give your dad his gift and say goodbye to deadbeat boy toy. Horrifying. Opie is a good person and deserves better. And it was smart not to tell her terrible with money boyfriend about her savings. It's not his money and none of his business. Not today, Hall. The minute I read that you don't live together and he is only your boyfriend, he has no say in your finances. His house, his problem. He made his own mess. I hope your trip to Disney World is super fun for your father and you. Also, his mom and sister are over the line. Like restraining order worth. If they're so concerned, they can bail him out themselves. Actually, just dump the guy because this is just one big red flag about controlling your money. The idea that is asking her to put money to his house is bad enough. But to demand Opie's hard-earned money with no offer to give her an equity stake in said house? Absolutely freaking unbelievable. Where do people find this kind of entitlement? Your boyfriend is showing his true colors. He expects you to forgo your plans for his lack of planning. His debts and lack of budgeting is on him, not you. Dump him. Take the trip with your dad and enjoy. Just as importantly, so is his family. Opie can expect to be harassed anytime he wants something she's unwilling to give.
Am I the a-hole for telling my dad's parents that I don't want them at my graduation when they said I wasn't their real grandson? In November, my 18-male dad's parents and my mom got into an argument because they mentioned they decided to start a college fund for my brother 11-male. It wasn't even brought up. They just decided to share it on their own. My mom was confused since they mentioned it out of the blue but thanked them. She asked them why they decided to make one now and why they brought it up. They said something about wanting to do it for their grandson and making sure he's set so he doesn't have to worry about paying for college. My mom then asked if they had started one for me, and they said I wasn't their real grandson. So the answer was no, and they didn't have one for me. They added something about how I'd get something else and accused my mom of expecting too much. For context, my dad adopted me when I was 5. He started dating my mom when I was 2. I don't know my biological father personally, but I know of him. He died when I was 3, and my mom told me he wasn't a good person and was in and out of jail. My dad is the only dad I've ever known, and I always thought his parents accepted me. But hearing them basically say I wasn't their real grandson hurt. It wasn't even about the money. It was the fact that I was excluded, and realizing the only reason why was because I wasn't my dad's biological son. The argument happened right in front of me and my brother, just a few days before Thanksgiving. Since then, I viewed my dad's parents differently and tried to keep my distance from them. They eventually apologized for saying I wasn't their real grandson, but only because my dad basically forced them to. Over time, I realized I didn't really care anymore. I just loved them more than they loved me. School is almost back in, and I take senior pictures soon. My dad's parents were over for Christmas, and my parents brought up me taking pictures. That led to my dad's parents talking about how excited they were to see me graduate and how they couldn't wait. This confused me. It honestly did, because a month ago they basically told me that I wasn't their real grandson, and now they're excited to see their grandson graduate? I told them that they weren't coming and that I didn't want them there. Of course this shocked my parents and my dad's parents. They asked why, and I told them I remember them saying I wasn't their real grandson. so it doesn't make sense for them to want to come to my graduation when they have no ties to me. My dad looked upset, and his parents were too. His parents basically said I should move on since they already apologized and meant no harm. I told them that when they apologized, it was only because my dad told them to. After that, it got awkward. This happened during Christmas, and I haven't seen them since. My dad told me they're hurt by what I said and that I should apologize and let them know I didn't mean it and that I still like them to come. I told him I meant what I said and that I don't want them there. It's not like I can stop them from coming anyway, but I'd prefer if they didn't, since they have no reason to be there. He says their feelings are hurt. It's honestly embarrassing to think they've been my grandparents my whole life, only to find out they didn't even think of me as their grandson. My mom says she agrees with me, but thinks I should consider my dad's feelings, since this puts him in a hard position and wants everyone to be family. I'm not trying to hurt my dad, but I just don't want his parents at my graduation when I just found out they didn't accept me. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. The fact that they said that, never mind in front of you, is outrageous. These are the consequences for actions and words, and they're upset they have to face them. And the fact everyone is worried about your dad's feelings and his parents' feelings, but are completely ignoring your feelings, is telling. Not the a-hole. Your feelings are hurt and your feelings are just as valid. Once you say something like that, you can't take it back no matter how much you wish you could. Thank you. I was starting to believe I was the one in the wrong, seeing how much this is making my dad upset. But what really stung was that they said all of that stuff right in front of me and didn't even bother to say sorry until the next day, and only because my dad made them. I don't think they would have if my dad didn't tell them. Right now, it feels like my mom is the only one who really understands where I'm coming from, and my dad is just trying to play mediator. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my dad back the money he put into savings for me when I betrayed him by accepting extra stuff from grandparents who wouldn't give equally to my step-siblings? My parents created a savings account for me, 19 male, and started putting away money for me when I was young. My dad continued after my mom died, and by the time I turned 18, I had a pretty sizable savings account. When I was 8, my dad started dating Nina, who had kids from her previous relationship. They were 3 years old and 18 months at a time. My dad treated them just like his own since their dad was out of the picture. He made a rule after a couple of years when he didn't feel like his family or my mom's family were fair to them. My mom's side couldn't give me a big item for his house if they gave nothing to them. He said it wasn't fair if I opened a gaming console with a bunch of games from them and nothing was sent to Nina's kids. They could send me some smaller stuff and it wasn't a big deal. My dad's family had to give to us equally though, and he said there was no treating me differently because we were all a family. My dad's family did follow the rules publicly, but in private they gave me extra money and smaller stuff. I never told Dad, and I accepted it. My mom's family kept the big stuff for their house since I'd visit them a few times a month. They never sent anything for Nina's kids. My dad never talked to me about the rule. I think he expected me to be protective of Nina's kids and to insist we were a family and should all be treated the same. But I never felt the same way about the step-family stuff as he did. They got married when I was 12, but to me, they were still Nina's kids. Dad told me about the savings when I was 16 and I gained access when I turned 18. In October, my dad found out about the extra stuff his parents gave me. He and my aunt argued because he expected them to feel bad about originally treating Nina's kids differently than me. He said I'd have grown up feeling ashamed of them if he'd let it continue, and my aunt threw me and my grandparents under the bus, saying if I felt that way, why did I take the stuff behind his back? He was so mad. After he confronted my grandparents, he confronted me and asked how I could let my little siblings be treated differently. He told me a family is supposed to stand by each other. I told him he accepted them as his full family, but I never did. And I reminded him that, in all the years I knew them, I never called them my family or my siblings. I even pointed out how I called them Nina's kids. He told me that wasn't right, and that they grew up with me being their big brother. I said I was nice to them because they were kids, but that was it. Then he demanded I give him back all the money in my savings. He said if I was going to take all that extra stuff and betray the family, I didn't deserve it. I refused and told him the money is mine now. Nina lost her mind when she learned about it too. She didn't have family to give her kids anything, so she felt extra mad on behalf of her kids. She was also mad at Dad for letting me have the money when I did, since they can't take it and split it between her kids. They keep asking for it back and I keep saying no. They can't access it either, so it's safe. But they think I'm an a-hole for taking the money when I knew I was accepting the stuff from my dad's parents. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. They can't blackmail you into feeling differently than you do. Not the a-hole. Your dad's rules about equal treatment was his decision, not yours. You didn't ask for the extra stuff, and it's not your responsibility to ensure fairness for your step-siblings. The savings account was created for you, and you have every right to keep it. Your dad and Nina are projecting their frustrations onto you, but it's not your fault. Stand your ground and don't let them guilt you into giving up what's rightfully yours. Not the a-hole. He could have made a savings account for Nina's kids, but he didn't. Nina could have made a savings account for her kids, but she didn't. Even if the Bayou dad was not in the picture, that doesn't automatically mean his extended family couldn't have gifted and made a savings account for her kids, but they didn't. This is money that was intended for you, and you should keep it. Ask him if he'd rather have the money or a relationship with you, because it seems like this is where it's headed. And start limiting contact if possible, because I'm sure you'd rather have your mom back than the money. I'd love to have had my mom growing up and would take her over the money. Not sure my dad will ever get it because he tried to make me think of Nina as my new mom, and it didn't work. Next story. Am I the a-hole for cutting my wife's stepmother off from my kids until she deletes her Instagram account? My wife and I have 2 children, 8 male and 5 female, and we're expecting a third. Since our eldest was born, we have been clear and consistent about not wanting pictures of them posted online. It was my wife's idea, but still a mutual decision. Most of our friends and family have no problem with that, but we've had problems with my wife's stepmother. She has, on several occasions, posted photos of our children on her Instagram account without our consent. Most are harmless, pictures of her with them or family photos with more people in them. But there have been a few times she took pictures of the kids behind their backs and posted them. Every time we see a photo of our children on her Instagram page, we tell her to delete it. She always does, but the next time she sees them, it happens again. We have been having this discussion with her since our daughter was born. She never listens. Anyway, my family spent New Year's Eve at a rented beach house with some of my wife's paternal family. We returned home on January 1st. That same day, my wife's stepmother posted several pictures from the trip. Buried between them were 3 photos of our kids on the beach. They're both wearing swimsuits and, except for one of the pictures, don't seem aware they're being photographed. My wife and I talked, and we both agreed we've given her stepmother enough chances. As long as she's active on social media, she will continue posting pictures of our children without our consent. We called her yesterday and said that she won't be allowed to see our kids unless she deletes her Instagram account. That means she won't have any kind of contact with them, receive pictures, or be invited to their events. She cried during the call and tried to promise us she would delete the New Year's Eve post and never do anything like this again, but we told her we can't trust her. She can keep her account if she wants to, but she won't be allowed near our kids if she does. My father-in-law, who is also against posting pictures of children on social media, called my wife last night. He agreed that her stepmother crossed a line, but said cutting her off from our children was an exaggeration. He said she just started to make money with social media, but she also loves our kids very much, and it's cruel to force her to choose. I don't think we're in the wrong here, but I'm still worried we're taking this too far. Are we the a-holes? Now for the comments. You've been telling her to stop doing this for 5 years? Not the a-hole. She started doing this around the same time my daughter was born. She eased up during the pandemic, though it was probably because we barely sent her pictures of them then, but went back to it as soon as she started seeing the kids again. Well, either she makes the choice or you do. Your offer expires in a week. After that, she's definitively excluded. I like this approach. Thanks. Last story. Am I the a-hole for being really cruel to my mom when I last spoke to her? A few weeks ago, I, 17 male, kind of left my mom's house without saying anything. My sister, 20 female, and I had planned it, so I was close enough to 18 for our mom to be left with nothing to get me back. She's already no contact with her, and now I'm basically following in her footsteps. We're both tired of mom prioritizing being a stepmom to her husband's kids before being a mom to us. It started when I was only 7. My mom got married to her husband, and he brought kids along who were 5, 4, and 2 at a time. Their mom abandoned them, and our dad died when I was 2 or 3. I don't remember him. My sister has some memories. She thinks they were separated at a time, and we think it could be why mom was like she was. To put it in the simplest of terms, her stepkids came first. If one of us and one of them had something on, she went to their thing. My sister had this spelling bee she attended, and one of mom's stepkids had a karate thing. My mom and her husband went to the karate thing, and mom tried to make me go too, but I went with the school to the spelling bee. She told me I should have been there for her stepkid. She got really mad about it. I told her I wasn't going to support some rando over my sister. My sister was getting an award another time, and one of the stepkids had a game. The game took priority again. I had a debate thing on, and one of the steps had a dance recital. The dance won out. Those are some examples, but whenever it came down to it, that's how things were handled. My sister tried talking to mom, but it ended in a fight. She told us we were trying to hug her, but we never got our time. They got it all. She baked with them and took them shopping and for kid date nights. That was never stuff that happened with us. And if one of us wanted to do something, and it clashed with them wanting to do something, they got to do it. Even when they had their dad and were doing stuff with their dad, mom picked them. My sister moved out 3 years ago, and it got more frustrating without her in the house with me. The steps wanted to be close to us, but we wanted nothing to do with them. I know it's not their fault, but I still consider them randos, and never cared about them or loved them or anything. My mom noticed way faster than I expected that I was gone. She called a bunch of times, and I ignored her at first, but then I answered. She told me I was still a kid and I didn't get to just leave. I told her she didn't get a say when she put someone else's kids first. She yelled at me for calling them that, and this is where I said some cruel stuff to her. I told her if their mom ever comes back, I hope they dump her, and I hope she enjoys knowing she'll never have her real kids or future grandkids in her life because she discarded us like trash. I told her she was a useless mother, and we would have been better off with her dad instead of dad. And I said if she ever found herself alone, to die that way because we wanted nothing more to do with her. I told her I hated her. I told her I never gave a crap about her prick of a husband or her stepkids either, and nothing would change it. Then I ended a call and blocked her number, her husband's number, and any number I knew connected to them. On Christmas Day, I got a DM from someone, I think her husband, and he called me a crap stain and said I had been evil to my mother. He said I needed to get back and apologize and should be ashamed of talking like that to the woman who raised me. I didn't reply and blocked the account. Got another message from a different account 2 or 3 days after, saying more or less the same stuff. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I guess the truth hurts. I hope you and your sister live your best lives. Any family from your dad's side you both can turn to? My sister is trying to find our dad's parents. He was an only child, and we don't know if his parents are still alive or not. You're not the a-hole. I went through something similar, only my little sisters are my half-sisters instead of step. I hated them when they were born and little. Now, as adults, I love them dearly. You're 17. Legally, there's nothing she can do to bring you back. Good luck, my guy. Not the a-hole. Your mom basically tossed you and your sister aside for the step kids. That was wrong. Yes, what you said was harsh, but the truth hurts and needed to be said. Now, you need to check into the Social Security survivor's benefits your mom's probably been getting on your behalf since your dad died. Those may help you beyond the age of 18, for college, etc. Also, check into your state's health insurance and see what it takes to get on a plan. If you continue to receive those DMs, change your number. Whoever is sending them is probably using a free app to get random numbers to send them. She did/does get social security benefits, and my sister is looking into how we can change that, at least for me, since we know I'd still be entitled to them. I already applied for new issues of some documents and stuff that I couldn't get. We're on the way to getting more help. The DMs are through social media, so I need to fully private my account if it continues, and make sure I go through everything so random people can't DM me.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to forgive my friends for keeping my boyfriend's cheating a secret? I, 25 female, just got out of a 4-year relationship after finding out my boyfriend had been cheating on me for months. The worst part? Almost all of my closest friends knew, and no one told me. We've all been part of the same friend group since college, hanging out every weekend, taking trips together, and supporting each other through everything. Or so I thought. A few weeks ago, I got a message from a girl I didn't know. She told me she had been seeing my boyfriend and just found out he was in a relationship. At first, I thought she was lying or mistaken, but she sent screenshots, texts, photos, even a video of them together. I felt like my whole world shattered. When I confronted my boyfriend, he admitted everything. He had been cheating for nearly a year, and my friends knew. They saw him flirting at parties, caught him sneaking off with her, and even overheard conversations about it. When I asked them why they didn't tell me, they gave me excuses. It wasn't our place. We didn't want to be involved. We thought you might already know. I was devastated. These were the people I trusted the most, and they let me be blindsided. I cut off my ex immediately, but my friends? That's been harder. Some have apologized, saying they feel awful, while others are acting like I'm overreacting. They keep inviting me to things, expecting everything to go back to normal, but I can't look at them the same way. Now they're saying I'm being unfair by holding this against them, that I shouldn't throw away years of friendship over this. But they knew, they saw, and they chose to stay silent while I was being lied to. Now they expect me to just move on like nothing happened? How can I ever trust them again? Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Are you sure they're your friends? Because they wouldn't be mine. Right, OP, that's not what friends do. They picked sides when they found out he was cheating, and it wasn't yours. You'll find a real group of friends, because whoever they aren't it. They all knew, every last one of them. 365 days, maybe a little less. They kept his secret, hurting you in the process. Of course not the a-hole. They didn't want to get involved. They got involved when they hid his secret from you for a year. I can't even imagine the betrayal you feel. You pretty much lost the boyfriend and the people you considered your closest friends in one swoop. People I'm assuming you would have otherwise turned to for support during this time. Not the a-hole. Ironic, isn't it? How a complete stranger turned out to be friendlier than your own friends. It takes courage to tell the truth after you find out you're the mistress without knowing it. If I were you, I would have thanked that girl. On the other hand, I wouldn't forgive those who call themselves your friends either. A real friend doesn't hide something that important. This part, revealing you're the mistress, is dangerous. You never know how someone will react. They might try to fight you. They might even try to off you if they're crazy. But she picked doing the right thing nonetheless. You can't. I'm 35 and have only had one really close friend. She was with me for everything for the last 14 years. I mean everything. The births of our children, the loss of 2 of my children, passed during delivery, the loss of my dad, her parents abandoning her, literally everything. Fast forward to December 2023, I left my very abusive ex and father of my 3 children, 1 living. He has always been a horrible father. By July 2024, he decided to start rumors about me. And instead of asking me about things unrelated to our friendship, she just hopped on his bandwagon. When I tell you I had no one to talk to about everything, it brought me to my knees. I didn't think I'd be able to make it without her. But seriously, I am so proud of myself for standing my ground.
any friend of mine, especially one as close as her, knows me better than to believe stupid rumors, and if not, they are no real friend of mine. Was it hard? Yes. But with all that being said, I met the man of my dreams, my best friend. When the person I needed the most gave me every reason, or rather excuse, not to show up, a perfect stranger showed up for me 1,000 times for no reason at all. So it's up to you whether or not you're willing to keep these friends in your life when they don't have your best interests in mind. Yeah, nope. My former in-laws introduced my then spouse to his affair partner, and my family helped my then estranged spouse kidnap our children to get them out of state, destroy my property, and leave me homeless. All of them follow each other, but I didn't use social media so everybody knew, and none of them warned me. I will never forgive my family, and I agree, you should not forgive your so-called friends. Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my friend to give back a gift I gave her after she openly expressed that she would be getting rid of it? I, 27 female, have been friends with this girl, we'll call her Mary, 28 female, since high school. Recently, I was back in our hometown, and she invited me to her birthday brunch to celebrate her 28th birthday. One day on my way home, I happened to stumble across an estate sale where I found a set of really nice crystal champagne glasses that were in excellent condition and cheaper than their worth. Mary lives a high-quality fancy lifestyle, so I thought they would be perfect for her, especially because they were within my budget. At the time, I had been recovering from student loans and had just put down a deposit on my first apartment in the city. Fast forward to the brunch. We had a great time, and I got to catch up with Mary and other friends from high school. Mary was eager to open the presents, and when she got to mine, she seemed to like them, asking where I got them since there was no label. I explained that I didn't know the brand, but the person running the estate sale had assured me that they were authentic and had been a wedding gift to the previous owners. At the mention of the estate sale, Mary became visibly disgusted. Although she didn't say anything to my face, she was very passive-aggressive towards me for the rest of the afternoon. I overheard her whispering to some of the other guests about how I had the audacity to give her a used item and that she would be discarding them later. After the event was over, I approached her privately, not wanting to make a scene, and asked that if she wasn't going to use the glasses, could she give them back since I would put them to good use and knew their quality. She flipped out, telling me it was extremely rude to ask for them back, and that it was none of my business what she did with them. My family is understanding and thinks I did nothing wrong, but some mutual friends who were at the event think otherwise. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. If I gift someone something nice and they're openly talking about it wasn't good enough and they're gonna trash it, yeah, I'll ask for it back. And either way, end that friendship. Maybe if people cared about the gift-giving rule, they wouldn't openly trash the gift. Just what I was going to say. That's the last gift she ever gets from me if she's still in my social circle. I really don't know where the idea came from that once a gift is given, the recipient has complete freedom to do whatever they want with it. In the real world, we have to consider the feelings of others, including those who give us gifts. For example, it would be extremely rude to immediately throw a gift in the trash upon opening it while the giver looks on. If someone did that with one of my gifts, I'd be hurt, and I'd rather take it back than watch that happen. This is pretty close to what Mary was about to do with the glasses, so I think OP is not the a-hole. This, especially considering that even though the birthday girl was talking smack about the gift and throwing it away where OP could clearly hear, OP was still kind enough to wait until she could speak to her in private to ask for the gift back. Next story. Am I the a-hole for walking out of yoga class after the instructor hit on my daughter and kissed her? My mom has been begging me to join her yoga class, so I agreed and brought my 19-year-old daughter along. From the moment we walked in, the instructor, let's call him Chad, mid-40s, thinks he's some sort of spiritual guru, zeroed in on my daughter. He kept complimenting her energy and asking her deep, awkward questions about her soul connection. My deaf grandmother, 85 female, saw what was happening and signed to me that she thought he was cute. Class starts, and my grandma, who has no idea what's going on, starts doing her own random stretches in the back. Meanwhile, Chad keeps adjusting my daughter way more than necessary, his hands lingering far too long on her waist, whispering things like, "Relax, feel the flow." She looked super uncomfortable, but he didn't seem to notice. Then after the class ends, as everyone is packing up, Chad grabs my daughter by the shoulders and leans in for what I can only describe as a full-on kiss on the cheek. My daughter was frozen, absolutely stunned, and I lost it. I rushed over, grabbed her, and told Chad he needed to back off. He just stood there smirking, acting like he'd done nothing wrong. I stormed out with my daughter and told my mom that we were never coming back to that studio. Now my mom is furious at me, saying I'm being too dramatic, and my grandma keeps signing, "He had good energy. You should have let it go." Am I the a-hole for pulling my daughter out? Because I feel like this went way beyond just a yoga class. Now for the top comments. Oh, hell no. You go make a complaint. If there is no one to complain to, make a Google review and say exactly what you say here. A 40-year-old getting handsy with a teenager. Don't let it go. I will. Grandma is from that any male attention is good male attention generation. Ignore her BS. Not the a-hole. That description has the hair on the back of my neck standing on end. Minimally, report him to the studio or gym or whatever he was at. Maximally, well, I'd be lucky to walk out of that situation with just a misdemeanor. Just saying. Here's hoping the perp gets his. I totally agree. It gave me chills too. I'm definitely reporting it to the studio, and if they don't take it seriously, I'll go further. Posting this made me realize how serious this actually is. Don't stop at reporting it to the center, regardless of how seriously they take it. Blast this creep on social media, Google reviews, etc. Next story. Am I the a-hole for dumping my girlfriend because of her kid? So I, 29 male, started seeing this girl, Julia, 25 female, about a month ago. Things were going really well. We had great chemistry and I was enjoying getting to know her. I had no real complaints. She seemed fun, cool, and like someone I could seriously date. A few days ago, I had just finished a long day at work and told her I'd pick her up and take her to this nice restaurant I'd been wanting to try. I was excited because I thought it would be a fun night. Then she replied, "I can't tonight. My parents have plans and I need to take care of my kid." At first, I was taken aback. I honestly thought I misheard her. Like, did she just say kid? I thought maybe she was talking about a younger sibling or something. But when I asked, she casually confirmed that she has a 7-month-old baby. Now, I'm not someone who judges single mothers or anything like that, but this was the first time I was hearing about it. We had been seeing each other for a few weeks, and I had no idea she had a baby. She had never mentioned it before. The way she said it so casually made it feel like I was the one who was supposed to just accept it, like it was no big deal. The truth is, I wouldn't have continued this relationship if I had known about her kid from the start. I was stunned. She told me her parents were handling the baby most of the time, but still, it was a lot to take in. I just told her okay and ended the call. I didn't reach out to her the next day, and she didn't contact me either. Probably busy with her kid. 2 days later, she messaged me, but I didn't reply because I didn't know how to handle it. That night, she called and asked if we should still go to the restaurant the next day. That's when I realized I didn't want to continue seeing her. I told her I didn't know she had a child and that I didn't want to be a step-parent, so it was best to end things. She calmly said, "Okay, I understand," and we ended the call. The next morning, I woke up to banging on my door. She was sobbing, telling me she loved me and begging me to meet her kid. She said I'd fall in love with the baby and wouldn't leave. I told her if I had known about the kid, I wouldn't have started dating her. She cried harder, and I told her I had to go to work, which was true. At work, I got an anonymous call with slurs. I'm not sure if it was her or someone else, but I'm suspicious. When I got home, neighbors told me she had been crying loudly at my door and even banged on some of their doors, introducing herself as my girlfriend. They didn't take any action because they assumed we had a normal fight. Most were supportive, but one single mother, Georgia, gave me a dirty look and said I shouldn't have given her hope if I was just going to leave. Honestly, I'm still processing the whole situation. I never intended to be a step-parent, and I feel like she should have told me sooner. I'm starting to feel like I'm being blamed for something that wasn't my fault. Am I the a-hole for ending the relationship and not being ready to take on the responsibility of dating a single mom? Bullet dodged. She is absolutely unhinged. Firstly, failing to mention she has a child in over a month of dating? Huge red flag. Like a red flag you could see from Neptune at night if it were being waved in a cave. Secondly, after a month of dating, she shows up at your house yelling, crying, and begging like a lunatic? Yeah, another huge red flag. Thirdly, thinking, only after a month of dating, that it's appropriate for you to step into the shoes of fatherhood? Madness. Demented, crack-fueled, howling, deranged madness. If you gathered all the red flags, put them on a hill, flooded them with light, and broadcast it live on YouTube or Facebook? Yeah, this would be that. Not the a-hole. She even mentioned that her parents have the baby most of the time, which means she's either unstable or a deadbeat. She's probably desperately trying to find a father for her kid. That was a huge red flag. Then she buried it under the rest of her unhinged behavior. How the heck did all your neighbors get involved in this nonsense? Why would you or anyone think you're an a-hole? You barely know this woman. Who cares why you choose not to see her again? You're allowed to make your own choices. Julia is unhinged. Get a restraining order and tell your neighbors to stop talking to her. I've been living in this neighborhood since childhood, and most people here know me well. She had come to my home a few times and knew I had goodwill with the neighbors and that they have connections with my family too. I don't know if that's why she reached out to them. Look, you are 100% in your right not to want to date a single parent. However, I think Julia probably has postpartum depression, and it's most likely the father is a deadbeat or has taken off. None of this is your fault, but she has probably seen you as a lifeline, an escape for a little while. She isn't crazy. She likely is very, very unwell, so maybe you could spare her a little bit of compassion? So, like dating her out of compassion, or just comforting her somehow? Because her banging on my door is not allowing me to be near her anymore. Last story. Am I the a-hole for asking my roommate's wife to wear bottoms around the house? My significant other and I have been putting up our brother-in-law while he's trying to move back. He's employed and is paying token room and board, while he and his wife attempt to sell their house. It's been 6 months so far. My brother-in-law's spouse, Tina, is in her late 30s, a larger woman with some health issues. She has visited before and ruined decorative pillows due to having accidents on them, as she likes to sit on our black decorative cushions. She's now been spending half of every month, when she shouldn't be, in my home as a guest. She doesn't wear underwear under her nightgown and will stay in it for the majority of the day. I've had it. I watched her ruin another decorative pillow by sitting on it and leaving vaginal discharge and urine on it. I gave her a day to clean it, and she pretended it didn't happen. I ended up throwing out the pillow in disgust and bleaching the seating mat underneath it. She then wore the same pee-stained nightgown the next day, and I watched as she lifted it up to sit down bare butt on my furniture. So, we've spoken to her husband in hopes that he can tell her nicely to wear underpants. I'm also considering getting her a box of incontinence pads and leaving it in the bathroom she uses. Am I the a-hole in this? It's disgusting, right? Her lack of underwear isn't the problem. She wouldn't be setting foot in my home ever again if she behaved like that, let alone stayed 2 weeks each month. That's beyond disgusting and inappropriate. Not the a-hole. You need to set boundaries with your brother-in-law, and she needs to stay out of your house. Her lack of underwear is part of the problem. No guest of mine would sit in my furniture without underwear and get to stay. I'm on the autism spectrum, so don't always get the finer points of being a good guest. But I sure as heck am aware that doing that would be nasty. I've never had a naked tush or bush in a home that isn't mine. And does she actually do this in her home too? Because if so, I wouldn't be visiting her anytime soon either. Because ew. Not the a-hole, but it's time you tell your brother-in-law that if he can't control the situation, they have to leave. It doesn't matter if he's paying a small amount for room and board. You feel like a guest in your own home, and she is disgusting. She needs to be fully clothed, wearing underwear at the bare minimum. If they can't respect that this is your home, then they can leave and find accommodation elsewhere. Let your husband know that if brother-in-law does not have a discussion with his wife and fix the issue, you will. And that conversation likely won't end well. This exactly. Health issues or not, if she can't behave appropriately, she needs to not spend any time in your house. You would think someone with health issues would want to wear incontinence pads and have better hygiene.